Welcome, dear MA final year students, to another edition of Lyrical Ballads by Wordsworth. And today we are going to do the topic value of poetry. What, according to him, was the value of poetry? Okay, we'll discuss it in two sections. One section is the science part of the modern technology, industrial revolution part of it. Now, while Lyrical Ballads was being written, be aware that the modern industrial age was setting in. In fact, in some fields, it was sort of peaking, and there was a dilemma. There was a dichotomy of thought in the poets of Romantic age. One was they were nature lovers, and they were very sure that this kind of modern industrial revolution is going to damage their mother nature somewhere. There was a fear of science and technology. Okay, but at the same time it was inevitable, so there had to be an adjustment with science and technology also. So as far as poetry goes, Wordsworth was very clear. He says the more science progresses, it is not that the poet is going to sleep off. No, he's going to be more active. And he said we can carry sensations into the midst of objects of science. That is not a problem at all. But the problem was that the onset of science and technology had started blunting the discriminating powers of the human mind. He calls it, he names it, he gives it a very good name. He calls it a savage torpor. He was saying that our mind was getting more unfit for any voluntary exertion, to be honest, any voluntary action, to be honest. And he was finding it very difficult to sort of adjust with this new mind of human beings, which was actually getting into a torpor. Because according to him, poetry's heart is language. The medium of a poet to express himself is the language. According to him, language and human mind interact with each other, they react with each other. Now, this is something very important that you should make very clear in your mind, beta. Prior to him, but after him, we are talking about, when I say after him, I'm talking about the 20th century. Though Wordsworth, it was not immediately after him, but basically before him also this was done, and after him also this was done, that language was given such a lot of priority, especially in the 20th century, that the poet had actually, poor thing, taken a back seat. He was probably just the medium, just that bartan, that vessel in which his poetry was inertly taking place. He had not much role to play in the 20th century criticism. But here we have a very welcome thing with Wordsworth, that he says that human mind and language interact with each other. Language is the medium of poetry, and the only now language is the medium of poetry. So where does mind come? Very interestingly, language has endless fluctuations. It has many arbitrary associations. To say that in simple English, something that you can say in a language and mean, you might mean something, but the other person to whom you are speaking might understand it in a very different fashion. So language fluctuates. It has very arbitrary associations. Means maybe I have some kind of a connection with that particular word which you might not have. Okay, so the human mind there plays a part. What does it do? It melts it down to the purpose of the poet. Now, how does human mind do it? Now, this is important. Human mind makes a selection of the poet, of the language to be used by the poet, which helps the poet to sensitize, to humanize human feelings and make the world a better place to live in. Now, very importantly, I wanted to tell you this, that when you talk of human mind, trying to decipher or trying to select the best language for the purpose of the poet who has a mission, who is a teacher, this becomes very interesting, that the human mind is playing actually as important a role as the language of the poet. In the 20th century, language became the boss, the god. It became the be and end of all of all things, whereas the poet, the creator, took a total back seat. So very modern, something very modern about Wordsworth, that he gave human mind as well as the poet equal status. They interact with each other, and that is what the value of poetry is. What is the value of poetry? Poetry, as I told you the last time in my lecture, what is a good poet? Why should there be a poet? Because he sensitizes and humanizes feelings and makes. He's a teacher. He gives us messages. He makes our life more livable, more pleasant, more pleasurable. Okay, now that was one thing. Now second thing that the Wordsworth was very unhappy about was, he said that he's going to use the language of common human beings, rustics. I'm going to do it in poetic diction with you in the next lecture. But yes, this is important, that he said that I'm going to use the common language of humans. I'm going to use the language of the rustic people. He was so totally against the elaborate poeticisms and the degenerate classical wit of the Augustans. He just was totally against that cliched, shop-worn expressions, those, artificiality, that innate ornamentation. It was so unnecessary, according to him. Whatever was happening in the Augustan age, whether, as I was saying, their meter, elaborate meter style of meter, then they have to have a very profound language in which the words chosen will always have to be very sort of pompous, and then something which is forever used. What is cliche means something that, if something a particular incident or a particular thing is spoken in a particular expression, that could be used over and over ad nauseum. So this basically was what Wordsworth was against. So while he was enumerating the value of poetry, he had two things in his mind. One was the modern industrial age. Okay, so he said, okay, we are going to adjust to it, and we have all the will, the power and the capacity to carry sensations into the midst of the objects of science. So that was when it was sorted, क्योंकि इतना blunt हो चुका था modern industrial age में, the human mind had become blunt, and therefore the value, the utility of poetry had become even more enhanced, because the mind was not the fresh mind of of that age, which was not the industrial age. It had become, as I was telling you, that it had reached a savage torpor. So for that matter, he said the value of poetry ever increased, because it would then guide the mind also to remain active and alert, and to sort of engage in its voluntary exertions of creation. Number one. Number two, he was against as I was telling you, the Augustans, the Augustans' use of language, as he calls it, the degenerate classical wit, or he calls it the elaborate poeticisms. So he was against those cliches. So secondly, again, he said, if you have to humanize, if you have to sensitize the world, then the language has to be very simple. And therefore, the poetry written in simple language is a poetry which has a message, is a poetry which is humanizing, is a poetry which is uplifting and upgrading. Second. And the third, he said that it has to be a constant action of a mind with the mind and the language. It has to be action and reaction of the mind and the language. So very importantly, as I'm again repeating, that as we advanced into 20th century, and word and poet and language became the be and end all of everything, and poet took a back seat. This was not done by our Wordsworth. Our Wordsworth gave full marks and full importance to poetry. So three things have been established by it. Again, repeat again for making it easy for you. One was, at the age of science, mind was becoming blunt. To keep it activated, there was a need of good poetry. Second, Augustine's का जो artificial ornate style था, उसको beat करने के लिए there was fresh poetry which was required to humanize and sensitize human beings. And the third and the most important thing is that language and mind had to work together or interact with each other and come out clear. It had come to as poetry. It had to produce poetry for the good of the mankind. So basically, what we what we have today in this lecture done is laid a foundation to his poetic diction. The next lecture will be on poetic diction, in which please read both my write-ups on the value of poetry, and the other one, the other day, that I had given you about who should be a poet, who is a poet, what should a poet be like. Okay, and then that will lead us to poetic diction. My next lecture, I have sent you write up. Please read it before you, both before and after you hear me speak to you in this kind of a lecture. Okay, so basically this is very clear that they were not the older romantics, Keats and Shelley, were very plain, but then older romantics like Wordsworth were very, what do you call it, they were beyond their age, in which they said that they have no contradiction with science, but then they will sort of live with science. Okay, there is no contradiction. Poetry can always exist with whatever kind of situation arises in the society, and that is a very great remark by a very great poet again. Thank you very much. My next lecture is going to be on poetic diction. Thank you.